All right, it's 7 o'clock. I've hit the button once again. It says I'm live, and looks like Zen Ginger was in the chat already. So welcome. Um, yeah, I did it again. I hit the live button, so I'm live. And I had stuff I was going to talk about, and as soon as I hit the button, it just went away. I completely forgot what I was going to say. Oh well. Yeah, it's been an interesting week. I don't know why I say that because nothing interesting has happened. Hey, Coro, good to see you. Good to see you. Mossed the Mold. Moss the Mold sounds interesting. I keep looking at the 29-gallon tank that I have down here, trying to decide what to do with it. I go in phases where I want to add more tanks to the house and then take them back out of the house and move them into the building and have just all my tanks out there. I'm kind of at the phase now of moving that tank, move the 29 back out to the building, and have the 55 in here. Switch it to a 125 probably. Reading chat here. So mossing a mold, is that in a video that I've missed somewhere or something? Because now you've piqued my interest. I know I miss a lot of videos and streams and stuff. But I've got in the bedroom in there, I've got some CPDs that I picked up at the OCA. I've got those in quarantine, and I'm thinking I'll move them out of the quarantine tank there into the quarantine tank in the fish building. Maybe at some point breed those. All right, Zen says he was discussing earlier that he had half exposed driftwood that had mold on it, and is there try covering it with moss to mitigate it? Hmm. I can see that working probably. I don't know. I don't know that mold being a fungus make it look better. I would say. I was noticing in this 55-gallon that I have here that you all can't see. I should like turn myself around or something. Um, when I set it up, I had a lot of like Java moss in it, and I had a horrible algae bloom, and it was all getting. Or it wasn't algae. It wasn't algae bloom. It was like the hair algae stuff just floating everywhere in it. The pond scummy hair algae, and a lot of it was getting in the Java moss. So I pulled all the Java moss out, got it all cleared up, and now the driftwood has like little patches of Java moss growing out of the cracks of the driftwood. You have this shirt, Zen. I like the shirt. Um, Coro says, "Yeah, I just pulled the moss up, and I'm hoping it will wick water up and compete for the nutrients of the mold. That's a pretty good idea. It might compete for moisture because I think Zen's onto something. The mold would want moisture, and it's probably eating the nutrients out of the wood. Still on top of mold, probably. Scuba sent you one of these shirts a while back. That's where I got mine. I won a contest on somebody's channel. I don't know if it. I don't think it was Scuba Steve's channel. I think it was somebody else's channel. Maybe Lefty's. But I got the shirt in one contest and a poster in a different one. Stephen P's here. Stephen P's here. Oh, and then whatever Zen said at the bottom, I misread that completely. I thought that last R and an N was an M. And it came out in my head completely wrong. Oh, I know what I was going to start talking about at the beginning of the stream that I completely forgot. I was thinking about fish food and how I'm always buying fish food and like putting in on fish food at raffles and this and that and always going through it. I was thinking, I bet at some point, and I may be at that point, I don't know, it gets economically feasible to like make your own fish food, like get the smaller components and put them together, process your own fish food. Because when I had like one tank or two tanks, it wasn't any big deal to just go through a can of food every little bit. But now it seems like every couple of weeks I'm having to get a new can or a new bag of food. And I've been picking up different types from different people and stuff like that to try different stuff out. Try some extreme, try some Cunningham tropicals, try some cobalt, different stuff, and emptying the cans or the bags out pretty quickly. And I don't feed that often. But I have decided to start working towards something a little easier, because sometimes my fish get fed once a week, depending on my work schedule and stuff like that, or twice a week. So I think I'm going to put or I've started ordering some auto feeders to put on there. That way they get a little bit every day, and I can do the additional feedings kind of like I am now, but not to as large of quantity. Sounds like a lot of work to make it though, when the flake food is so affordable by Ken's Fish Spot by the pound. Yeah, I used to feed a lot of flake. I kind of started steering away from flake for some reason, going towards like granules and pellets and that type of stuff. But I look that up and see. New York T, howdy. Storm Rider's Legacy. Welcome, Melvin. And I do a lot of these things where I get these ideas of, hey, I'm going to make fish food, or I'm going to make Pleco caves, where I get started, get stuff to do it, and then don't do it. It's like, I'm gonna make a fish shack. And this is what, 3 years in, and I still don't have it where I thought I'd have it in 3 months. Kept hitting bumps and hiccups and stuff. I need to do another update video to show you where I'm at there. I haven't done a video on that in a while. I keep changing my mind about what I want to do. If I want to put a 125 on the bottom, two 125 on each side, fill the whole thing full of tanks, or just half of it. Going back and forth. I change interest in the fish fairly frequently. I'll be into shell dwellers, and then I was like, they're not really my thing anymore. I want to go with swordtails. But I was thinking earlier that my bristlenose plecos that I've got, the ones that I call the parents, I've had those for 5 or 6 years now. Stephen P. says you check out Ken's Fish granules, sticks, pellets, flakes, etc. for bulk pricing. I imagine homemade food can be much healthier. I just know I would never be able to do that regularly. Yeah, and time's not something that I have excess amounts of. So that's, you're probably right in that. MTS, multiple tank syndrome, welcome. When you make a pleco cave, do you put moss on the outside? I guess you could. I haven't put moss on the outside yet, but I put some pleco caves in the 55 here, and I started thinking about it. I was like, everybody just takes the pleco caves and just lays them on top of the substrate. So in this one, I took a couple of them and I kind of have the substrate on a slope and sunk the pleco cave into the slope, so it's like a cave inside of a hill. And my plecos in that tank are, let's say, not the brightest ones, I guess, because they're not going in the caves. They're like just hanging out on the underside of leaves and stuff. So I'll say that, and then I'll walk over there, and they'll probably all be in caves. But they've been like just on the bottom side of the driftwood or the underside of a Java fern, or what is that thing? Amazon sword. You know, it says I've seen a few people who pile gravel over the pleco cave. Same idea, just a different substrate. Yeah. And I guess for the ones that just like lay the pleco caves just in there, if you're going to pull the fry out, if they have fry and you're going to pull the fry out, you don't want the cave buried like that. That you want to take the cave out and be able to get the fry or eggs or whatever out. But really, in this tank, it'd be cool if they breed, but if they do, I'm not planning on pulling the fry out at that point. But who knows? If they do, I may change my mind and pull the cave out. Yeah, I think I need to upgrade it to a 125. I've got two 125 gallon tanks in my storage building that have been sitting there for 2 years now. And when I got them, I was planning on putting them in the fish shack out there, as like the bottom shelf of two of the racks. But I haven't done it yet because of excuses and procrastination and such. So now I'm thinking, now that I brought fish back in the house, because I got fish to look at, I got into the hobby to have something to look at because I see aquariums as art on top of, everything else. And having 0 tanks in the house, I miss just being able to sit here in the chair and watch the fish, or being able to look at fish as I walk by. But I'm gonna try not to get to 40 tanks in this little house again. MTS says, I want a big tank like that. My biggest is 75. Yeah, I haven't had a 125 in decades. I guess my last 125 was probably 15 or so years ago when I owned the pet store. I got a 75 a few years back, which a few years back, maybe 10 years now. But I've kept everything to 55 and under because that's 55-gallon tanks are a weight and a dimension that I can manage myself, lifting it and carrying it. Once I get over 55, the shape, the size, and the weight is more that I can manage myself comfortably. And so that's probably another reason that the 125s have stayed in the building, because I gotta get help to move them. And when I have I built the rack with the 125 in mind out there, and then the way I built it, I rigged it up so 10 gallons could also sit on it like sideways. And if I've got a space for a tank usually winds up there. And so the bottom of the rack where it's supposed to hold a 125 has 5 or 6 10-gallon tanks on it now. But I'm slowly trying to empty those out so I can move the 10 gallons out of the way. And put the 125 there. Where am I located? You're an hour southeast of St. Louis. So if you're an hour southeast of St. Louis, you would be probably 5 hours still from me. I'm pretty sure I'm 6 hours from St. Louis. I'm over in Kentucky. So I guess it depends on which route you go. I think I'm 6 hours from St. Louis. And maybe the way that I'm 6 hours from St. Louis, I come in from the top and you're southeast, so it may be even farther. But I mean, I can get help moving them. It's just I got the rack built for it, and before I could call somebody to help move the 125, I put 10 gallons and filled them up with fish. Near Paducah. Okay. I've got to make a trip out to Paducah. It's been forever since I've been that way. And there's quite a few people out there that I know in the fish hobby. It'd be nice to go visit and drop in on. And Rico's dropping in. Speaking of dropping in, let's see. So if you use Amazon merch, don't create any products with used sizes. Rico made 10 items a day and they are rejected because of one that had sexy in the name and had used sizes. Yeah, Rico, I was watching the replay of that. Um, uh, wasn't I was watching. I had it playing as I was driving home today and listening to it. And on the question of who lives in Portland, let's just say, Rico, you're a really good detective. I drive through Portland whenever I go to the MCAS, the Nashville club meetings. Stephen P. says, to this day, after rejecting me years ago, Amazon will not let me set up merch under my account. And there's Bewizzled dropping in. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, I set up a Amazon business account years ago and don't remember what I set it up for or if it had benefits or anything. And I don't use it anymore, so that may be something to look at. I don't know how to do the merchandise and stuff through Amazon, but I tried the Teespring, but it didn't. Their quality is kind of hit and miss. Price is kind of high. I remember this time to put the camera on this side and the chat on that side, so I don't stick the finger in the camera. So Amazon's keeping the riffraff out. Rico says, I think Amazon merch is better quality. I made a metric butt ton of stuff today. A metric butt ton. As opposed to the imperial butt ton. Some on Zazzle, some on Spring, and some on Amazon. So does Amazon have a like a merchandise creating platform? Like how I guess it is called Spring now. I got the T out. That reminds me. I got a notepad here so I can take notes. I need to email Rico. Rico loves some imperial butt ton. Yes, they might have used to upload the image in that to design. The butt ton thing cracks me up. I hadn't heard anybody say butt ton in years. And then I think I heard Ed say it. Crack me up again. I see Coro says T when we do more than church spring. Oh, okay. So they took the T out because they do more than t-shirts. Yeah, it doesn't have the same ring to it. A lot like Twitter's now X. Ready for the focus on it's like ready or not, I'm gonna try to make myself more available. So I'm trying to get all of my calendars together of like when I work, when I've got family stuff and all that so that I know more of potential availability. and the people organizing the calendars aren't being real cooperative. And I'm getting told, "Oh, we'll get it to you soon. We'll get it to you soon." It's like, well, I got stuff going on. I need to know when I'm, need to ask off work for a family event, and if I can make it to this club meeting, because if I got to work, I'll have to miss it, and that type of stuff. But I might can. The idea is to email and off for a day that I might be available. At this point, Imperial Butt Surfers to go along with Imperial Butt Ton. A cool band name. You only have one Saturday in January that is taken, so the world is my oyster. Knowing my luck, the Saturday that's taken is the one that I would have available. And I need to make a note that I need to move Steven's stream replay to the front of my list. According to what Rico was saying, I need to move it up the list. What if for Focus 2, Electric Boogaloo, how did he mess up Focus on? I'm scrolling back. Okay, I'm lost there, but that's okay. I'm lost a lot of time. Oh, focus upon. Yeah, focus upon sounds hoity-toity or fancy there. Coro says he's trying to trigger the PTSD from Rico's Catholic schoolgirl days. That's Rico and Catholic schoolgirls. Sounds like a whole nother stream. All right. So the Whizzle says, did I tell you? Listen to this. I was downtown yesterday, and I was in the bad part of town. Anyways, when I was walking out of the store, I looked up, and the woman was looking at me like she was looking at me. She was like, okay. Rico says, PTSD, I still have the skirt. So is Rico the schoolgirl, or is that like a trophy? All right, but Wiz will finish his, or continue his story with, you want drugs, and then spilled stuff, and took off. So the girl asked if you wanted it and then took off laughing. Sounds like some sort of like prank thing that they do. Yes to both. Okay, so you were the schoolgirl and it is a trophy. I didn't go to a Catholic school. That does sound like some of my college stuff, though. Coro says, yes, Rico was once a schoolgirl being spanked by nuns for being naughty. His knuckles still have the ruler marks. All right, I got to scroll back. Oh, okay. So she spilled them and she was trying to sell and got, oh man, my door was locked and backed out and sped off. Oh, okay. That's one way to get mugged. They get some harmless girl to get you to come out, to come into the back alley or whatever for the sale, and then you get robbed by three other people. Same thing with Tinder hookups. Or they could just be selling drugs. Yeah, Coro's right there. They get a girl to get you to stop for a broken down car or something like that, and three big burly guys come out of the weeds when you stop. Or go into the alley or whatever. Yeah, you never know anymore. Sometimes the big burly guys are wearing Catholic schoolgirl kilts, Catholic schoolgirl skirts, kilts. It was a funny story I can tell and laugh at the holidays. Yeah. I've got YouTube chat down here and StreamYard's chat up here, and realizing they're moving at different speeds, and it confused me for a second. They've been using that trick since before Jesus, and it works. It works because guys are dumb. They don't. We don't always think with the most sense. Like my shirt, Scuba Squad. Yeah, Stevo. Got it from Stevo a little while back. Yeah, I said earlier. I think I won it, and maybe Lefty's stream or somebody's stream. I don't remember. And then got in a different stream later down the road, and won a Scuba Squad poster too. So I've got a couple things of Steve's merch. All right, so now I'm second thinking of making making my own fish food. Just have to order in like larger bulk quantities, like Steven was talking about. I was going to make shrimp food at one point and bought stuff to make shrimp food. And never got around to doing that. Bought Repashy and never actually made the Repashy. Coral says, I heard it described once as the male sense of invulnerability. That we enter any situation with the whole, it'll work out in the end. Mentally, it's kind of similar. Yeah, and I think men enter into I was going to say a word that now my brain says I don't know how to pronounce it. But I know how to more dangerous situations than we should when we think that there will be some sort of reward involved. How likely or not that might be. And guys do some stupid stuff. Farewellas were a good purchase. Mine are just like when I had them before, they were just like sticks that laid in there that you could reach in and just pick them up and move them, and you'd never see them move around. These that I have now, they'll go to the top and they'll stick their nose out of the top of the water. They'll be dancing around the plants, moving all over the place. I need to do better at plants. I need to actually put fertilizer in there probably. The plan was really for the 55 to be a temporary tank and move all the stuff somewhere else, but the crypts and the Val and everything have kind of just taken off, but they don't look that good. Coral says, sorry to derail you again, fish food. What kind of live cultures do you keep? Long story there. And do you keep adding them to your fish food? Do you think adding to your fish food could help? Maybe if there's something that's easy to culture in the summer. And Vanosky drops in. Hey, Vanosky. Right now, I don't think I have any viable fish food cultures. I always end up crashing them for one reason or another. You don't want to take and stick grindleworms under your racks and forget about them for a couple months because they don't survive that long. All of my banana worms, water worms, micro worms, all of those, I can usually keep them for a month, maybe two, before something happens and they crash. Daphne likes to die on me really quickly. Vinegar eels, I've kept them going the longest, but I haven't really added those in to the diets a whole lot because it doesn't seem like they're getting much. My fish are quite a bit larger. I mean, the guppies and stuff still go after them, but it doesn't. In my mind, it's like they're not getting a lot of effort for not a whole lot of stuff. Like some people, large batches of brine shrimp and then freeze them. Maybe that's something you can culture outside and then freeze or dehydrate. Make it a year of the food. Possibly. There's Sketty Nona. Greetings, hello. And there's Vibes. Welcome, Vibes. Yeah, I've started getting more frozen food in the mix also. But that's what kind of got me thinking about, I'm going through the frozen food quite a bit, going through, the cans and jars and bags and stuff of the dry food quite a bit. And I started thinking, you know, maybe like cooking, like for human food, instead of going out to a restaurant every time you need food. You buy the supplies and you make it yourself. It's cheaper. And I thought maybe fish food was along the same lines, that you could get the components and make it yourself for the larger amount that I'm needing, and it'd be cheaper and all that. But then Stephen pointed out a good point earlier, that it takes effort and time. And I procrastinate, am lazy, and don't have a whole lot of time. So just taking set aside a weekend to make up a year's worth of food, I guess. But then it'd probably all spoil. Yeah, I don't. As far as meeting the economy of scale, I haven't done any actual like thinking about it. It was just the drive home, listening to Rico talk about the canned fish that he was eating, and the fish jerky, or squid jerky, got me thinking about feeding the fish and all the fish food that I go through, that I could get the components, and I've got a dehydrator that I can make fish food jerky, and do more research into it and possibly make fish food for them. What kind of fish food are you making, referring to me? And how stable do I want it? How much money do you want to spend on the freeze dryer, etc., to make food? Well, I get these harebrained ideas all the time. Sometimes I act on them, sometimes I don't. But it was just a thought right now of like, hey, maybe I could do that. Because I know some people do, make their own food. It's just baking or cooking. Let's see. Baking or cooking fresher foods is one thing. We might be able to supplement our fish with more fresh veggies than we think we can. Or culture mealworms and bake and mix those with. Most of my ideas aren't good ideas. And see, like, something else that has crossed my mind of, I didn't put a garden out this year, but I did the year before. And I kind of just let it go and didn't get a whole lot out of it. But I wonder if I put a garden out next year and I put more stuff in it for the fish, like the zucchinis and cucumbers and beans and stuff that the fish would eat, if I would actually pay more attention to the garden and benefit myself off of it also. I get crazy ideas like me impulse buying a greenhouse to put my fish tubs in, so I get a longer season with tubs of fish. Jeff Kane, welcome. Have I looked at aquaponics? Very little, because when I impulse bought the greenhouse, that was kind of my thought process too. Was I could put the fish tubs in there and pump it through something, some sort of plant, and do sort of an aquaponics thing there. You know, aquaponics with rice fish instead of tilapia or whatever. I haven't, again, went into a whole lot of detail on it. Zen says, I planted a garden, but most of it has been eaten by bugs before it's ready to pick this year. And before I moved here, so before my divorce, for years I was the whole, we didn't have a lot of land or anything, but I was like trying to be the backyard farmer and growing a garden, planting fruit trees, and getting chickens and ducks and rabbits and that type of stuff. And of course, my wife then thought I was crazy for doing all that kind of stuff, because you can just go down to Kroger and buy, your tomato or your chicken or your egg or whatever. Why would I want to grow it? But then moving here, I tried to garden, not this year, but last year. And I think I got frustrated with it, so I didn't mess with it much, because the soil here is rock and clay. And before I moved here, they'd went into the back part of the property and logged it. And so they had trucks and dozers and stuff all through what is my backyard. And so there was just like no topsoil there. And even though they logged the back section, there's still trees overhanging, and so it doesn't get the best sun. And so I think I got frustrated with it also. So if I do it again, if I do decide to do a garden this next year, I'm going to add stuff, and I say I'm going to, but we'll see what actually happens. Add compost and try to improve the situation. Put forth effort. Me putting forth effort, yeah. Fishy on Tactics. Hello, hello. Welcome. Boots Cats. Welcome, welcome. Raised garden beds. Yeah, I missed the one from Coro there. It says Guppy Ponics. That sounds like a good video series. Raised garden beds, yeah. I've been thinking about that also. Probably 10 years ago, I had a YouTube channel about living a simpler life. It's before I started this channel, and it was about having a farm, or a backyard farm, growing your own food, preserving it, relying less on the system. And so I started looking back to that old channel of who I was subscribed to back then, and some of them are still around making videos, getting ideas about raised beds and different neat little things. The nice thing about aquaponics, there's no dirt and rocks to dig through. Yeah. Okay, Fishy on Boots You're gonna break the stream too. Oh, did somebody break a stream? Oh, Boots Cats broke it, huh? Do you have a truck or trailer? You could probably get everything but the pumps and plumbing pretty much for free for an IBC chop system or something. uh, we'll just say yes. I have truck and trailer. Another long story. Neither one of them is in the best mobility condition right now. Another project for another day. And if I can find the free stuff, that's great. I know a lot of people say they find free this, free that. I don't see a whole lot of that stuff. And I already have the greenhouse. Can I stay at your place for a while? See, the trick to the greenhouse. Impulse bought the greenhouse. It came in a box. I carried the box to where the greenhouse will go. I laid it down, looked at it, said, "It looks like work. I'll do that later." It's still laying in that spot. I'll put it together one day. Rachel broke Craig's stream. I see. Well, you can break this one all you want. I do a pretty good job of messing it up myself. But I think I have decided I'm going to keep trying it. So it looks like I should be able to get one in next week before the Christmas holiday. And then I wouldn't be able to the week of Christmas. But that's something on the list for the future. There's a lot of free and low price stuff that I was willing to go away. That if I was willing to go away the heck out to wherever they have it, but I don't have a yard or a house. Gotta live vicariously through me. Isn't that always the case, though? There's free stuff available in your relative area, but you have nowhere to put it. I would drive a little ways to get this free stuff and have a place to put it, but can't find any of the said free stuff. Like I'm on a lot of fish Facebook groups for like clubs in other areas, not just in the area that I can easily drive to. I'm, in Facebook groups of clubs up in like the New England area, up in Michigan, Florida, Arkansas, all over. And I'll see stuff like in the Colorado group that all these tanks and pumps and stuff are free, and nobody's going after them. I'm like, well, I can't drive to Colorado for this stuff, but I would take it. Boots Cat says, I've seen huge tanks for free, but I don't have a big enough car. Hence why I bought a truck. Kind of impulse bought a truck. Well, I was planning on buying a truck, went and bought one without really looking it over very well. It drove up the road and back fine, signed the papers, and I guess up the road and back was its limit. Started driving it home, and transmission issues, power steering issues, wheel issue, um, coolant issue. So it's a project truck now. So I have a truck. There was a 240 corner tank that was drilled with a sump for free for like 2 months, and I didn't have the space or availability. What a cool tank! Yeah, that would be cool. My husband and I agree we need a truck and the SUV to accomplish all of our tasks. So I have the SUV and he has the truck. The 75 that I had the last time I had a 75, my ex-wife had an SUV. I don't know if it was the Suburban we had or the uh, Nissan or what it was, but I ended up tying a 75 gallon to the top of the SUV to get it home. I had the stand and everything else in the back of it, but the tank was tied on top. And I found that in a lot of cars I can fit a 55 gallon in the back seat. But but now I have the truck, and I've borrowed trucks before, but I always hated like, oh, I see a great deal. Start calling around trying to borrow trucks, and by the time I find a truck, the tank or whatever is gone. Carl says, I don't understand why cars don't have tow kits in the US. Well, you can put, a hitch on about anything. Um, it's not necessarily recommended or do the best job. But I have seen, living in this little town here that I'm in, I have seen all kinds of stuff. I've seen subcompact cars pulling stuff that they had no business pulling at all. Um, I have learned that riding lawnmowers missing a deck and pull a whole lot of stuff. Um, there's a guy in town here that drives a riding lawnmower without the deck with a train of shopping carts behind it. Like Europeans tow little travel trailers all over behind little tiny cars without any problems. But in the US, if you want to tow, you either need to put a hitch on it or buy a truck. I wonder if it has anything to do with like the drivetrain difference. If they're like, if like in Europe, more vehicles are rear-wheel drive or they're geared different. Um, Typically, other countries will use diesel more than they will gasoline, I think. So maybe that's something for it. Don't know why the tow kit isn't standard on cars. I think at least what I'd heard before was it was a transmission thing. That the way our vehicles are geared in the transmission, the smaller cars and stuff are right at their limit. I can fit two 75s, four 10s, four 5s, two 2.5s, and a 40 breeder in a Subaru. And see, the trick there is you could probably fit more than that. The 75 is 18 inches wide. So like a 29 or something with a 1 foot width will fit inside the 75. And a 10 will fit inside something with a 1 foot width. So you could put the 75 in, put a 20 high or a couple 20 highs maybe. I don't know, maybe tight in the 75. you could at least fit one, or a 29. Put the 10 in the 29, a 5 in the 10. I'd say a 2.5 would fit in the 5. I've hauled a number of tanks like that they're inside of one of another. I know a guy who'd pull a little trailer behind his Miata. It's a strange sight. Yep. Oh, see, I'm still learning. Made that pop up. I think it's a cultural marketing thing. Yeah, it could be. It's a lot different culture in that in the U.S. we like the bigger vehicles. Station wagons disappeared because of marketing and greed, not because of the market. I don't know. Station wagons, from what I see, station wagons went away because it was the mom vehicle. The next generation coming up didn't want to drive the mom vehicle. So station wagons got rebranded. They became crossover SUVs, mid-size SUVs, those type of things. And the minivan was the new cool thing that the generation coming up started driving for all their kids. And then there was a soccer mom vehicle, and minivans weren't cool anymore, and people didn't want to drive. The next generation coming up didn't want to drive a mom vehicle, a mom van. So hence the minivans are going away, and there's a larger growth of SUVs. And now all the younger moms or whatever that don't want to be like their moms driving the minivan are driving SUVs. You can't throw a rock around here without bouncing off a Subaru and hitting another Subaru. And the exception to the station wagon thing, from what I've seen, is in the Pacific Northwest. The auto manufacturer I work with, we produced a station wagon resembling SUV. I mean, if it had been made a few years back, it would have been called an SUV or a station wagon, but station wagon isn't cool, so they called it an SUV. We made it for a while, and they decided to discontinue it because it wasn't popular in the U.S. other than the Pacific Northwest. Welcome, Nancy B. I'm fixing to wrap it up, but you recognize the room for the thumbnail. We can't be at the same time. Yeah, that was a picture of when I gave a talk to the Nashville Club. I thought I was being funny by wearing that little shirt that I made with like the X-Men symbol, and it said Zaphofris around the front. Kind of joking with the whole X-Men idea that they have the X gene and Zaphofris have an X gene that creates a mutation. I guess kind of nerdy there. And I skipped right over Scotty. I'm sorry, Scotty. Welcome. I'm trying to get to the bottom here. I thought about getting a dash cam. Scrolling down to the bottom. I would say I could guess pretty sure who Scotty Santa is also. But which case, yeah, I knew you were in the Pacific Northwest. That's why I brought that up. But yeah, I liked station wagons back when I was in school too. I'm accidentally clicking stuff. We had an old Oldsmobile station wagon that had third row in it, but the last row was flipped around backwards. We often would fold that last row down and still pile it full of guys and go basically off-roading in it. Got a lot of trouble in it. But anyways. Wow, I went over an hour. Oops. All right, so I'll go ahead and wrap up, and thank you everyone for coming out. Duckweed is going to club auction Saturday. Someone else can deal with that smell. You never know. I've had duckweed sell for a decent amount of money at swaps and auctions. But thank you everybody for coming out and supporting me and pushing me to keep doing this. Seahorse people. I keep needing to watch that. I'm always busy doing something, but I'll try to jump in there too. Thank you again. Try again for next week, and we'll see you then.